So basically, this is a Facebook Live about the state of the economy. And me and Garrett, we're gonna simply have a conversation about some articles that we read and some facts that we found out that I think that you guys would really enjoy knowing. I think the truth is a better existence to live, meaning that it's better to know the truth of what's going on in the economy than just sitting around and not protecting yourself, especially in this type of market.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that we actually came across was that like out of like 1,300 pensions,
Hmm.
130 of them are at risk, and they're at risk of insolvency. Um, I think coming from like that background, just knowing like for retirement, to know that your hard earning money that you have is actually at risk on the market. Um, it's one of those things where you gotta be very careful as to who you trust your money with, where you trust your money, in the hands of the market makers that places your money on the market and actually invest it. Um, I mean, knowing that your money is at risk and you're trying to make plans and meet goals, is one of the most, I would say, scariest things individual can probably go through. Um, to see all that money just go down the drain after 30, 40 years of working.
Right,
So
especially with people. We have the baby boomer generation, which is the biggest generation in the United States, and that generation is on the verge of retiring. They've been retiring over the last decade and will continue to be retiring over the next decade. And what a lot of people don't understand is that insolvency of pensions is dire. It's something that we should be, concerned about, because they're saying about 10% of all pensions are insolvent and need to be solvent. So that means that a lot of people, our moms and dads and their parents who are retiring with these pensions, won't really be able to use them. These pensions won't pay out what they promised. So that's a big issue in the economy I think people should know about. And one other thing, Garrett, in that same article that you're talking about, they said that one of the largest pensions in the world is at risk of insolvency in 5 years. They also said 65% of pensioners are veterans. So a lot of people need to realize that a lot of the people who are dependent on these pensions serve the country in the military. And so if something needs to happen to radically change the outlook of these pensions, because if these pensions are insolvent, something has to happen. Because if it doesn't, that looks like a dire economy for a large group of people that we know.
so I think I think what you getting to is that we have to find other investment options, other tools to invest our money in, instead of just
Depending on the
focusing a lot
pension.
of
Hmm.
depending on the pension. We got to set money aside. That 10% rule, just don't apply to church. It's,
Right.
it's okay to do 10% inside your own, IRA or your own savings, whatever savings you feel comfortable with, whatever tool whether it's on the market, stocks. Um, you know, uh, I say personally, I like to have more than one stream of income. For some people that know, I I actually trade on the market, so I can have extra income to meet whatever whatever expenses I have to incur or take care of.
Right.
It actually helps in that arena. But the more money that you have, the more money you can make.
Well, I just want to bring up the trust fund insolvency issue. Since we're talking about insolvency, I read an article
Right.
recently that talked about the trust funds all over the country, which this country operates a lot of the expenditures operate off trust funds. One of them is the Highway Trust Fund, and the Highway Trust Fund is expected to be depleted by 2021. You got the Medical
Oh,
Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, which
mhm.
is that's the Medicare. Medicaid trust fund, and that trust fund runs out in 2024. You have the Social Security Disability Trust Fund, which runs out in the 2020s, which we're in the 2020s, and they're saying that this trust fund is going to run out by in the 2020s. Then you have the Old Age and Survivor Trust Fund, which is the trust fund that runs the retirement program and also the survivors program, which if you die, your children can collect your survivor benefit.
Yo,
But
that's crazy.
basically, what that means is that if nothing is done to fix these insolvencies, if nothing is done at all, today's youngest retirees, so this is people who are 62 to 67, will experience a 23% immediate cut to their check. So we talked about pension insolvency, and pension insolvency means that the whole pension that you've been dependent on is and possibly not there for you. But now we're talking about Social Security benefits being reduced because of the trust funds. Can you imagine both, Garrett, being deprived of your pension and then also your Social Security benefits being cut?
Yo, I couldn't imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many people that may be housemakers. Who actually don't make that much and actually rely on that type of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have no other means, no other way of making money because they either physically can't do it no more, or they went into it unprepared. It's
Right.
it's it's almost frustrating to know that America, as we know it, does not have the tools and the mechanisms for to protect people. It's just
Right. And
frustrating.
um, one thing I'll bring about the pension, in the article they talked about the pensions insurances because these pensions have insurance. Once these
Okay.
pensions start to fail, the insurances are going to go bankrupt. So that means that people are dependent on their pensions and Social Security, as we explained before. These things, the outlook on these things are not favorable. And that means, like you say, you need to start looking into alternative assets. And we're going to talk about those. But Garrett, you as a retirement specialist, someone that has helped people with their retirement funds, knows that a pension and Social Security is a part of the plan in retirement. And if these things are not dependable, what can you do to protect yourself? That's really what this conversation is about. Because we're not just going to bring up the issues. We're going to talk about alternative opportunity for you to take your assets and your money and put it in assets that are actually dependable. So, Garrett, did you know in the United States that they printed more money in June 2020 than between 1776 and 1790, 1779? I mean, sorry, let me do this again.
It was like
Didn't you?
1776.
Yeah, 1776 to 1979. So over 2 centuries, we printed more money in June 2020 than we did in 2 centuries.
Yo, that's freaking ridiculous. I could see why. I could see how a country go in debt, and not be able to pay that debt. So you print that much money, you got to find some sort of, if you're not going to create another war, of course, you got to find some type of way to protect your monetary system. I mean, you got people over in other countries smoking up all the overly printed money and making handbags with. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that's crazy. No, I didn't know that actually
Yeah.
up until today.
And they say that because of all of this money printing, the United States is going to experience something called hyperinflation or a period of heavy inflation. And it'll be the worst that it's ever been in world history. So people don't understand the more money we print, all that does is put more money in the economy. And when you put more money in the economy, that creates inflation. That's why the price of homes go up. That's why the price of goods and services go up because the amount of money in the circulation goes up. So that means that the money that you have is not as valuable as it was yesterday because that printing press has been going on. They've been printing money nonstop.
So that goes into speaking, as to why we have a coin shortage. All of a sudden, we have a coin shortage. Now it costs way more. It costs way more to make a penny than the actual penny is actually made. So they're requesting for you to exchange all your old coins, which has actually copper and nickel, so they can melt it down. I don't know if anyone actually received the new 2020 penny. That joint is light. When I say that, the penny is so light, it almost feel like you can actually bend it. Actually bend it, like, but I just find that, this hyperinflationary period that we're going to experience is causing, or is probably the effect of cryptocurrency coming aboard, because they probably knew back in 2007, 2005, probably around that time, to come up with a plan to protect the monetary system that we already have and what we already
Right,
hold as one of the strongest currencies around the world, outside of the euro. I would say they're always in competition with the euro, but they use the dollar for everything. The
right.
UN, they adopted it, and I
United
think
Nations, right?
we,
Hmm.
yeah, the United Nations, they adopted it, but you know I think the alternative asset that we are coming into, such as Bitcoin, is going to protect our wealth over time. And I'm just curious. I'm just curious how this thing is going to unfold, especially with the presidency being at stake. How it's going to actually slow that process of transitioning to digital currency, and or slowing it down and hitting it to another direction. Who knows? I'm curious to see how this thing is going to actually unfold,
Right,
because they printed so much money. They gotta have something to back all of this money. They got to.
right. So, Gerd, we talked about the insolvency of pensions. We talked about the insolvency of the trust funds. And we talked about the printing press of the United States monetary system, just printing money. And we know printing
Right,
money causes inflation. That means goods and
right,
services, your potato chips, your nail salon appointment goes up. And one thing people don't understand, and just like you put it out, is that if we didn't have Bitcoin, what would absorb all of this inflation? And Bitcoin has been absorbing it for us, because Bitcoin right now, just an hour ago, was over $14,000. So that means that people are using their money to buy cryptocurrency. So one thing that cryptocurrency does is it allows you to keep the value of your money over time, especially with Bitcoin and DigiByte. Um,
mm,
it's been known that people who hold these two assets have seen gains over the last couple of years. With DigiByte,
right.
especially for me, I'm a vouch for that, because I've only invested 5,000 in, and I'm currently holding about 13,000 worth of DigiByte. And
Ooh,
one thing I just want to bring up, because in the article that I read, it said that if you had invested only $1, that's good.
so good. Coconut water harvest. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
It's
just drinking regular water.
Man, this thing
But
is so good. Mm,
but
go ahead.
if you would have invested $1 back in 2010 in Bitcoin, you would
Right.
have over $90,000 right now. So that means if you took only $1 and put it in Bitcoin in 2010, you would have $90,000. To me, that says, with DigiByte being 2 cents, if you put $1 in DigiByte, there's a chance you can turn that into hundreds of dollars. Hundreds, thousands, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna ever see in our lifetime an investment opportunity such as this crypto market, um, that I don't think we're gonna ever see it again. I think the transfer of wealth during this period, for those who are not paying attention, they're gonna miss the boat.
Right?
And I think essentially, if you don't put yourself in a position, just a position to protect your only asset, which is your hard-earned money, at this point in time, and put it into a some type of alternative asset. which I almost consider like it's intellectual property at this point. I think they put it in the line of intellectual property. I'm not sure if IRS has identified it.
Well, it's not intellectual property, but right now it's considered property. So owning a Bitcoin is just like owning a house. That's what they consider it. The only thing is you won't be taxed annually on it because they don't know how much you have. So that's why they haven't been able to tax Bitcoin. See, Bitcoin has been this unique facility and protocol that's been created for people to store their own wealth, meaning that they control it. And the
Mm,
good thing about alternative assets, this new class of cryptocurrency, is you actually own your assets. Nobody can own them for you. No one can take them from you. And no one knows you have it unless you tell someone. That's the
right.
uniqueness of the cryptocurrency. And
Huh.
when people say, how does cryptocurrency work? It works just like money. Just like you exchange, I gave you $1, it's just like that. And if I lose that
Right.
dollar, it's gone. So
Mm,
we've been crippled because we've been dependent upon banks to store our money. But what we realize is that these banks are doing no justice to us. In fact, to borrow money, you got to be credit worthy, right? So you don't
right.
have the opportunity to do that. And then if you're in a subprime banking market, you're probably being charged fees to bank. Basically, you're probably using a debit card that's charging you a withdrawal fee every time you withdraw. Most people who um, get or want to learn about cryptocurrency will learn that it's just like regular money, Garrett. It's just like me sending you money over an exchange. I'm not an exchange, but over a network.
Over network, right.
Right.
I think one of the things that we probably haven't talked about yet is one of the alternative assets that we like so much, who that has allowed for us to even bring this conversation up. And this is actually how we reconnected, and that's DigiByte.
Right.
DigiByte has been like one of those things that has. Let me tell you something. I mean, just from my experience alone, I had, let's just say I had a large amount of money that I could transfer um, in a matter of 15 seconds. In 15 seconds, the time that it took for me to take this amount of money that I had and send it somewhere, and it cost me under, let's just say under $1. Matter of fact, let's just
No,
say
it
under
costs
10
under a
cents.
penny. It costs under a
Let me
penny.
tell you, it was under $1, under 10 cents, it was under 2 cents. It cost me 1 cent
Right.
to send this money. Where's technology? Where's technology
But
going?
remember, Garrett, to send that same money to the exchange costs you what, $30 through a wire transfer.
This
So
is very true.
and
This is very true.
and basically you spent what, a penny to transact, and then it took you what, 15 seconds. So it's just like
15
cash.
seconds.
It's just like cash, right? The one thing about DigiByte is it's it's before its time. Like it's not really, the world doesn't see why DigiByte is needed. But
Right.
they're gonna soon find out. They're gonna find out because DigiByte is gonna really show for itself. And people have been projecting that it can become $1 one day. So that means that if you take $22 right now, which gets you a little over 1,000 DigiByte, which means you can turn $20 into over $1,000. That's practically insane because the investment opportunity here is a transfer of what? Wow,
Wealth.
right.
Wealth. I think essentially, once they do find out, it's gonna be way too late. You know, and hopefully it's not too late to the point where it shoot up to Bitcoin numbers because when it does, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Bruh, bruh, we gonna be on a yacht. Yacht. We gonna have our own yacht.
Yeah.
No, I mean realistically. realistically speaking, I probably won't go as far as getting a big ass boat or nothing like that because there's people out here that's hungry
Right,
and but I think I think for me, realistically speaking, letting people know that this investment opportunity, this change in the environment is actually happening, whether you with it or you against it. Like they passed a bill or they put something they put something in place in a form of a bill. I want to say several months ago where they're trying to create their own digital dollar.
right,
You know, and it's going to happen. China they already at the forefront of it.
right.
They created their own currency, so their digital currency. But I think
And all that
we need to
digital
get in.
currency is going to do, Gary. All that new money that they're creating on those ledgers, all it's going to do is
Mhm.
create more money for Bitcoin because no one wants to hold fiat money anymore because it's inflationable. Which means that now, when people learn what Bitcoin is and truly know what it is, they'll start to buy it and hold their wealth in Bitcoin. Um, I think that we just made a good move early, and we're playing chess. And I think we're playing really early right now. Um,
Yeah.
but before we go, I'm gonna ask you just one question.
What's up?
Like, I know I've like told you about DigiByte. I know I like introduced you to it, but it takes a point where a person hands you a torch, and like for me, I feel like I'm passionate about DigiByte, very passionate about it. But I feel like now you've matched that passion. And I wanted you to talk about why you want to vote with your money with DigiByte. Like, why do you take your money and buy DigiByte? And then I'll do the same question.
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, once I went to the website, which is digibyte.io. If you go to that website, you'll learn a lot about DigiByte and what it does, what systems, how they actually, began, how they started. And I think once I started reading on that and really keying in on what's happening around us, the why wasn't even so much, the why anymore. It's like, okay, this is about to happen. And I'm either going to be with it or I'm going to be against it. I'd rather be with it and be in position, so, you know, um, I can eventually take advantage of what's happening around me. Who wants to work 30 plus
Right.
years and not have anything to stand on, whether it be your pension, your retirement, your TSP, your IRA,
Your
all these
401k.
different tools, your 401k, you know what I'm saying? Who really wants to be waiting for those funds to be available
And
to
we
you?
just talked
Because
about, hold on. We just talked about, that 401k money, that pension money,
yeah,
all that money is
it's
insolvent. And
it's
as much as you
it's
want
at
to
risk.
depend on that, you really can't. You have to get an alternative assets. And like you said, you've been seeing readings about pension companies and uh, 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 fund operators going in and looking at cryptocurrency and buying Bitcoin with
Right.
$100,000 funds, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, the only safe, and I would say just from my practical experience, the only safe options that we have is making sure that we put our money to fixed contracts that don't depreciate in value but appreciate in value. I think cryptocurrency
Or
is
if
one of
it
them.
does depreciate, it's based on market volatility. It's not based on a
Right.
contract not meeting its objective or the contract becoming insolvent. See, with Digibyte and cryptocurrency, the market is based on people wanting it and people buying it. So
Right.
it's based on
Right.
psychology. And what we
Mhm.
realize is that DigiByte right now is cheap because people don't understand the philosophy of it and they don't understand what it really is. And this is the point where you get in. You get in the market before it becomes known what it is. And I'm gonna tell you this much: I've been
Yep.
investing in DigiByte for 2 years. For 2 years,
Hmm.
and people say, "Well, you don't wear nice things." Because I've been buying DigiByte. I've been taking my money and buying DigiByte, and um, these pop-ups keep coming up on my phone. It's very politically polarized environment right now. Like everything is popping up about this election.
I
But
see. I see.
this election itself is a reason for why I want to protect myself in alternative assets, like DigiByte. Like I honestly put a total of my money, $5,000 into DigiByte, and now I'm at what, 13, $14,000. You know what I'm saying?
In profit, right?
In profit. Not in
Hmm.
profit, but I'm in profit about eight or $9,000. Um,
I forgot because when it hit 3 cent, it was around like 21, right?
yeah, when it hit 3 cent, I had $21,000. Yes, because Digimite is pennies. What people don't understand in these pennies are going to grow and grow and grow. And
Oh, I forgot. We forgot to have a conversation about what they plan on doing with, cryptocurrency. They plan on putting. I read this article.
uh-huh,
They plan on putting cryptocurrencies into a fund and put them on the stock market. And guess what's one of them?
Digibite.
DigiByte. So when I came across that article, and I'm like, yo, it's time. It's time to put my money in a place where I know that right now it said under 2 cent, and maybe it went up a little bit. I don't know.
It's
I
under
might
two
have to
cent, right?
check it.
It's under 2 cent.
It's still
Yeah.
under 2 cent, but eventually,
Because
as
I
as
watch the
the
price. I'm telling people I'm passionate about this stuff. So I watch the price. And I know a lot of people are like, why do they have these stocks on your phone? Because you can watch your stock. I
you can
used to
watch it.
get, I'll tell this story of this guy I used to work with. But every time I would walk past his computer, he would have stock up. And he would be looking at all his stock and like looking at the market. And I'm like, this man, I want to be like him one day. And God brought me DigiByte. And so remember the time when you brought your DigiByte and you was like, I knew it felt before you knew it because I watched the market like that because it's intriguing to me to see this
Mhm.
asset grow in value and popularity.
Right, right. I mean, as more people invest in this thing, the market capitalization going to increase. With it comes, the ability to see more value in this project. I mean, this project is gonna, man, I can't wait. I'm gonna just say I cannot freaking wait till the time this thing hit $1,
It's said that
$10.
this asset will explode while alternative assets that are not cryptocurrency will start to depreciate. But it's a time for new wealth and new people to get wealth. And if you really want to get wealth, cryptocurrency is probably the number one thing to get. Um, like we said, if you had invested $1 in 2010 in Bitcoin, you would have $90,000 right now. That means that a penny in Digibyte could potentially get you hundreds of dollars in the future. This is this is just crazy stuff, right?
Bruh,
But I didn't get to answer my question, and it's why I buy Digibyte. So let me just say that.
why did you buy? Oh, matter of fact, who introduced you to it?
Well, nobody introduced me to it.
Okay.
One day I was on CoinMarketCap website, which is the site that they have all the cryptocurrencies on. And I was like, let
Okay.
me find a cryptocurrency that's undervalued because I want to absorb all of this wealth that's coming over. Because people with Bitcoin in December 2017 and January 2018, Bitcoin at $25,000. And I'm like, there has to be another Bitcoin. And there's been so many great projects that's come out since Bitcoin. And I want to know one that's just unfairly valued right now. And I was lucky and I stumbled upon it. I looked at some major facts which was like, is it like Bitcoin? Is it operating like Bitcoin? And I found out that it did. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why is this thing so cheap? Well, it's because the price of it is undervalued. It's because the market doesn't know what it is. And when the market grows, people will learn what it is and the value of it will grow. It's just natural and organic. Something just like Bitcoin is going to do just as well. In fact, it's better than Bitcoin because it's been built in ways that make it more superior to Bitcoin. Not only is it better, it's longer, it's decentralized, and these are
Right.
all terms that
Right.
once you get in the crypto market, you'll start to understand. But yeah, I buy it because I want something to have in the future to give my children if I ever have any, or to give my family. And this
Right.
is the stuff. Like I can't believe that I have so much power over my money. Like I've never had it. Like, and it's not even dollars. Like with my DigiByte, I feel more secure with DigiByte than I feel with having the same amount of money in my house.
Right. Because you can store it, you can safely store it, and you can travel with it.
Not
You can
only
tra-
that, not only
if
that.
you got 100 million, look, if you got 100 million of it, you can travel with it. Ah, hence, hence. One day, one day,
Right.
one day. You know what I'm saying? So we speak, prosperity and whenever we had these conversations because anything's possible. You just have to believe that and put a plan together. Oftentimes we don't put the plan together. We fail to plan, which means, as a result, we plan on failing. So so we sharing this information because essentially we care about people that may or may not follow us, but eventually we're going to probably have a large following because of how much we actually believe in financial literacy and how important it is. Because once you lose your health, actually that's the wealth right there. So for people who are out there, please take care of yourself. Make sure you're safe. Start, looking at things a little bit different. Just be open minded to, looking at things a little bit different because different is not always a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing.
But to get something that you never got, you got to do something that you never done. And that's in the
Boom.
Mary Murray song. And with that said, I'm going to just say some closing words and then I'll let you. But my closing words is with everything we told you in this video, you should just want to prepare yourself and have alternative assets like Bitcoin and DigiByte. And the good thing is now Garrett knows how to trade it and buy it on his own. So not only do you have me, but you have Garrett that can help you get this asset. Yes, Garrett, don't point at me, only me. You know how to get it too. So if someone knows Garrett, get at Garrett for DigiByte. He'll help you. But go ahead.
Absolutely. I'm not afraid, to show people how this thing works because eventually if we work together, and we can build together, eventually we'll be able to lend to one another. We got to get to a place where, we educate one another, not charging fees and, you got to educate. Like
Right.
education shouldn't, it shouldn't cost as much as it does, you know. And I think once we get to a place where we are giving, giving that I'm used to giving free information, but of
Right.
course at some point in time, you got to charge for that information. You sometimes you got to charge for that information because some people they want you to do the work for them. Once you get to that point, I'm charging you. I'll show you how to do it. I'll give you instructions on how to do it, but and I'll even walk your hand. I'll hold your hand through the process, but I want you to learn so you can, you can reach someone else and you can teach someone else and you can be an asset to the team of whatever team you plan on joining, whether it's DigiByte, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. I think having a diverse portfolio is good to have. But I say start off with DigiByte. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Get
Because
to a goal
it's
with DigiByte
undervalued.
first and then start
You know,
building other assets.
it's,
Yeah.
it's, it's undervalued
That could be
right
a little
now. So
biased for me. That could be biased for me.
I'm a true tradesman. I'm a true tradesman. So now that I meet my goal with DigiByte, you know what I'm saying? I'll probably start looking at some other things in the future. I think more so, and this is probably a conversation that we probably have another time, is land. I think the ownership of land is is going to be very, very important. I mean, I don't think literally in realistic terms or realistically speaking, anyone owns anything, but just the
Oh,
term, quote unquote,
no, no,
ownership.
no, no. You're wrong.
Like people,
You own
look,
your
people can't.
DigiByte. You own your DigiByte. Come on, be
I'm talking about land,
okay.
land.
Okay.
Talking about land. But what I'm saying, I don't think we can ever own property, such as land and things like that, because that stuff can be taken away from you. We're not talking about, DigiByte or Bitcoin and all that. But I will say this in closing, you know, um, the moment that we give our power away
Hmm.
is the moment that we become slaves to the very thing that we are powerless from. So, in closing, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm good. I just if you want to learn more about DigiByte, just hit one of us up.
You got it.
All right, with
Peace
that
and
said,
blessings.
God bless.
Hey.